For this hands-on exercise, we're going to look at your basic page layouts and what you can do with that. So let's do a couple things. We're going to come over here and I'm going to create a 7.3 folder just so I can keep everything together. And I'm going to get the single call file from the chapter 7 folders. See if I can find it. There it is. Copy that one over here. Okay. I'm going to open it in Notepad. So here's what we have. I'll just kind of text down. We're going to see what this looks like in Chrome. So here's our page. If we look, we've got a body. We've got a wrapper that has all of our code within our body and then our closing body. So here's our wrapper, here's our header, our nav, our main, and our footer. So that's our single column layout. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to configure a 2-column layout. So we're going to come in, we're going to make some changes and give us a 2-column layout. I'm going to save this as index.html. So now we have our single column and our index.html in the same folder just in case I want to refer back to it. So here is our index.html, and this is what we're going to configure into a 2-column. So our 2-column navigation will be displayed in vertical orientation, and we'll learn as you go on how to configure your navigation hyperlinks with an unordered list. But right now we're just going to code a line break tag after each of the first 2 hyperlinks in our nav area. So let me come over here in my nav, and I'm going to do a BR. Probably don't need to do the break right here, but I'm going to do it just in case, hypothetically I ever want to add a page 3. So we've got those done. I'm going to configure the float with the CSS. So I'm going to go up to my style tags right here, and I'm going to add a nav with float and width. I want this to float to the left. And I want it to be 150 pixels. Okay, so save that. So now I can see that my nav is coming over here and it's floating to the left of everything else, which is what I wanted so far. And the main content you see wraps around here. So now I'm going to configure 2 columns within my CSS. So we've configured a nav element to float to the left. The main element will be on the right side column and will be configured with the left margin, which is the same side as the float. So in order to get our 2-column look, the value of the margin should be greater than the width of the floated element. So we're going to go back to our file here, and we're going to code a style rule to give the left margin for the main element 160 pixels so that it goes out bigger than that width of our nav, which is 150. So we're going to come underneath this, we're going to go main, margin left, 160 pixels, save that. So now, just floating, you can see how we've got this, but then it comes underneath it. Now we have our main over here and our nav over here, which gives us a 2-column look. Now we're going to use some CSS to enhance our page. This is going to give it a more appealing look. We're going to add some colors, some things like that. So we're going to give a dark background to our body. Okay. And I know you probably get tired. I like to just code test it after each line just so you guys can see, hey, this is what we did. We gave the body a dark background. This is what it did. Now the wrapper ID selector, we're going to configure 80% width centered on the page with a light background color, and it will display behind all the child elements like our nav that don't have a background color identified in them. So you can see the wrapper right here is this div that includes all the content on our page. So we're going to come under here. Remember, ID is the hashtag wrapper. With the 80% margin left auto, margin right auto, background color, oops, EA. Save that. So this is when we just had our background. Now we've applied color to our wrapper so we can actually see our text. Now we're going to configure our header with the background color. Save that. So now our header has a different color than the rest of everything in our wrapper. Now we're going to give our H1 element some margin and padding. Margin of 0, padding of 10 pixels. Save it there, launch in Chrome. So again, this is our H1, so this is our page heading, or actually it's our layout example, sorry. See how we've given it a little bit more space. Our page heading is our H2. So we're going to edit the style rule and add 10 pixels of padding to our navigation. So you see where our nav was right up against the side. So now we added 10 pixels and just brought it out some. We want to give padding and background color to our main element now. So after this margin left, we're going to give it 10 pixels of padding as well. And background color. Save that. So here it was before. We're applying it to our main element, which is this right here. Now we have a different color there. So the last thing we want to configure is our footer element. So right now you can see, let me pull it back up, that footer just kind of blends in right here with our nav. We want it to stand out a little bit more. So we're going to come down here. We're going to configure a footer style. Text align, center, font style italic, background color, clear both, save, run that, and so now you see how instead of it kind of blending in with the nav, now we have a very distinct look to, we've got a header and our footer is the same color, our main section's a different color, and our nav is a different color. So it really helps to give us kind of that two-column, really distinct look to our web page.